Everyone, it's Christian Perez, and I'm with my co-host Pete Perez, and we're on our first episode of The Average Man Just Trying to Be Better. How you doing? This is my dad. If y'all don't know, it's an introduction. Actually, let me give a brief introduction. This is a show just about a father and a son speaking on different topics of life, principles, and just life lessons we've learned on how we can grow as individuals and just, be average people, but try to be a bit better every day. And I'm with my co-host, my dad, Pete Perez. So go ahead. How you doing?
Good. Kind of excited we've been talking about this for a while, and excited about sharing life lessons from someone who's been around a little longer, 29 years more, and someone who's trying to avoid some of the pitfalls that I guess I made growing up, getting to this point. And so I appreciate the fact that you want to learn more. Hopefully there's other people out there. It's nothing deep. It's just things we've learned.
Yeah. And we almost procrastinated this episode. I almost thought we weren't going to record it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was getting really lazy. I texted my dad the topic what we're going to talk about today, which is the title of this episode, is to be one with self, you must be none with else. And before we dive into our topic, do you have anything that you want to share, I guess, about your week or things that you felt, I guess, from our introduction episode to now, leading up to this point?
Nothing. I mean, it was just a brief introduction. We did talk about perspective and perception very briefly. I thought more about when you gave me the topic, what it meant to me. And we kind of initially shared our thoughts, and I thought, man, we're both way off. And it took me back to perception and perspective, because you took it one way and I took it another. And I had written some of my notes. So let's get started.
Yeah, let's do that. So, just to reiterate, the title of the episode, to be one with self is to be none with else.
Okay.
And since you mentioned that you came from a different perspective, when I first gave you the topic, I want to see where you thought about before I get into what I thought about the title of today's episode.
So when you said be one with self, be none with else, is first thing that came into my mind is stand up for what's right, even if you have to stand alone. So to be one with yourself is you're honest with yourself, integrity is involved, you believe and you stick to what you believe, hoping it's right, hoping it falls in line with things that are good principles, even if others don't agree.
Nice. And for me, when I shared it with my dad and he shared that idea, I was like, oh, I had a totally different point of view when it came to be none with else. Because when I thought about the idea, the way that the idea came was I was just at work brainstorming, thinking, I want our first episode to be something that matters to me and my dad. And when I thought about it, the first thing I thought about is, external things always happen in our lives, of either trials, accolades, or just life within itself outside of our control. And when I thought about that, the only thing that we have control over are our own thoughts and how we perceive ourselves and the actions that we take. So to really be one with self is not, in my opinion, is to not allow external things dictate your character and define who you are. That's my opinion when I thought about it.
I agree. That's pretty much what I'm saying is, for me, being one with self for me is to look at three things for me. So I looked at ego. Ego is a handicap for a lot of people. It's something that people rely upon. So to be one with self, you have to get rid of your ego. And I'll talk about what that means in a bit. Detachment. And I don't mean detach yourself from others and not have relationships. I'll go into that. And inner peace, true inner peace, which has to do with self-confidence, which is different from ego. So, and I'll talk about that. So when I talk about letting go of things, when we talk about ego, don't rely on others' opinions about yourself. Stop living for how others see you. That for me is important. If you rely on how others see you, and you're basically a slave to their opinions, and you're trying to, even though you're already a good person, you're still relying on their opinions instead of just being a good person for the sake of it, being a good person, regardless of what the opinions are. If you know you're doing something right and you're sticking to what is right, then it doesn't matter what others think. You can't rely on them. Everybody's going to think differently no matter what. As far as they go with social roles, and I don't mean traditional social roles. I mean, people have expectations of you. You know yourself best, so you have to quiet the noises you hear outside of your mind. You know yourself best, and if you have a relationship with God, let's say for example, then one thing I tell you guys is, you're gonna make adult decisions. You're gonna make choices. If you're good with God, you're good with me. Don't worry about what I think. If you know you're good with God, you're good with me.
So like what you're saying is being rooted within yourself and knowing that you're doing the best that you can. You're doing everything out of good intention. You don't have to really worry about the critiques of other people or the accolades.
Yeah, because you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. Now, that means you have to have a good sense of self and of what the right thing is. And I'm sure, and you do. That's important, and not just social norms. I'm talking about real
principles, morals.
Principles and morals, things that really matter, not superficial.
So going off that topic, when I was studying to prepare for our discussion right now, I think you hit a point that I like, and it reminded me of what I was thinking about with ego. I think to be one with self is, and like you said, like being good, not in the sense with just God, because like I don't know if
not everybody, and I believe in God,
you could
still be
but
good.
Whoever you find yourself in related to that matches your morals and principles, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of at the end of the day, loving yourself and who you are as an individual, and accepting those flaws and weaknesses that you do hold, but also recognizing your potential. But ego. Also, that's. But then I think sometimes we can confuse ego with self-love. And that's what I was thinking about earlier.
What do you mean by self-love?
So when I think about self-love and self-acceptance is recognizing, like I mentioned, the weaknesses and faults we have, but also loving what that makes us who we are as individuals, rather than saying like, oh, well,
I am who I am, I don't care what anybody thinks.
I am who I am, I don't care what anybody thinks.
That's ego.
Ego. Or I think as well as like, well, if I win this, and this, or if I can do this, achieve this, and this, like, I know I could do it because I'm the best at it. That's ego also in the way, but isn't actually being one with self, because you're allowing those things outside of you, of your achievements and those accomplishments that you've done, to define you. Like, oh, that makes me one. Like if I'm the richest person in my family, then yeah, that makes me one with myself. But in reality, it really doesn't, because if you lose all that money, then what? What are you?
Yeah. So when we're saying be one with self, it's be one with self no matter what the situation is, whether
no matter
poor,
the circumstances,
whether you're rich, whether you're a lowly individual with a part-time job, or whether you're a CEO of a company. Being well with self means being true to yourself, not relying on opinions of others or the ego or what your status. When I talk about detachment, because my second point with detachment is you still have deep relationships, but you have a deeper relationship with yourself and knowing who you are. That way, when those individuals are gone, because everybody moves on for the most part, and there are times when you're by yourself, you still know who you are. Mm-hmm. When those ties are set, they fade. When they fade, okay, you don't lose your identity because your kids are gone. You don't lose your identity because maybe a spouse has passed, or there's a divorce. You are grounded in yourself, and that's where self-confidence, true self-confidence, comes in, because you know who you are. I think there are things you can do to be one with self. It's very important, and it's underdone.
Let's save that for the end. The remedies, or how we can be one with self, because that's something
that's me. That's how I see one with self. Those are the things that are in my head, my mind, are important. Is don't let your ego control you. Don't rely on others for self-worth. Know who you are, regardless of the people that are in your life. And you still build deep relationships, but they don't define you. I'm a father. I love being a father, but that's because I love being a father.
Your self-worth is becoming, if I don't have kids, then I won't be a good father. I won't be a good human being if I'm not a father in my life.
And even as a teacher, I'm very fatherly. I nurture, I guide, I direct, or as a leader. That's just who I am. So it doesn't. I don't rely on being a father per se to be that person. And as far as inner peace is, I'm good. I'm good with myself. I try the best that I can. I'm good with people, and I'm good with God. In my case, I'm good with God, and I'm not perfect by no means. I make mistakes. I'm weak, and He knows them, but He knows I'm trying, and I know I'm trying. So I'm good, and so that I could walk with my head up and say I'm trying my best, even though I know I'm far from perfect, even though I know I have weaknesses, but I'm doing. And if somebody ever called out one of my weaknesses, I would admit to them. I'd say, yeah, you know what, that's me.
Or your ego could tempt you and be like, "Oh, this guy's just jealous of me."
No,
this
yeah,
this guy doesn't know who I am.
Or get angry with it. If somebody points out a weakness that I have, will it hurt? Of course, it'll sting. But if it's a weakness, yeah, but I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to overcome.
And I wanna pivot now because I know you were talking about that was your perspective.
That's me. Uh-huh.
And I want to pivot, especially when I was thinking about it. I sent you some notes. I'll just read them right here. One of the questions that I had when I was thinking about being one with self, because sometimes you mentioned solitude, being willing to stand alone.
Yes,
but I feel like
I had that too, actually.
And I do feel like also though, that can lead in a negative path of like thinking that you have to be isolated forever, and then not being able to, like, oh. You're always hesitant with having relationships because to be one with self, you might be critical of others. That's a temptation also to think like, well, I'm being genuine with who I am. How do I know if this relationship is going to be very sincere and will it actually help me grow as an individual? And I just want to know what your thoughts on that is. When you're one with self, how do you also manage relationships that are on a surface level, but also relationships that you want on a deeper level?
When you're one with self, as far as relationships are concerned, you don't think about that stuff. Could this be genuine? Could it lead somewhere? Is it going to help me? Again, you don't rely on others to be better. You build relationships because for the sake of the relationship, regardless of how the person takes it or appreciates it. You yourself, you delve into it. It's better to have loved and lost than not loved at all. Which means that just take a chance. Give your heart. And yes, you will be hurt sometimes. So yeah, you don't hold back. And you don't criticize others because they're not at a certain spot. Never. When you spend time alone, you spend time alone to commune with yourself, to be honest with yourself and reevaluate yourself and say, am I where I need to be? What can I do better? You got to spend time alone, away from friends, away from the screens, away from social media, just by yourself, to really be honest with yourself and reevaluate, and then grow from there. Reflect and redirect. And we have discussions a lot, and I guess that's why we're doing this, because we've always had discussions. We thought, why not just put those discussions, record them for posterity's sake, or for us to reflect upon.
Maybe this helps someone. That's struggling to not know what's oneself, or maybe they're confused with, well, I don't have this and this. Maybe that's the reason why I'm not the way who I am. Rather than saying, I am who I am, and I can keep growing, and I don't need these things to define my own worth.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I know you fairly well. I see you trying to be a better person. One of my questions is, when it comes to being one with self, being none with else, how does that relate to, in your sense, in your point of view, for when you have a spouse and kids?
For my future spouse and kids.
If when it comes to being one with self and being none with else, and I know you're not there yet, I just want to know where you stand as, how does that relate to when you're a husband, you have a spouse, and you have kids? That's tricky. So you have to be careful that you don't overdo it when you say be one with self, be none with self, be none with else. That's a slippery slope, or can be. It can be. How do you see it?
Okay, I'm gonna take what you're saying.
You can restate.
No, I'm thinking it right now before I just like blurt out.
Mm-hmm.
For me, in my understanding, to be one with self with none else, and be none with else, when it comes to like fatherhood, when I'm married, and just for the rest of my life, especially in that aspect, because we talked earlier about isolation and relationships, and obviously you're gonna have the most important relationship with your family, with my own family that I have. And for me to be one with self still is still not, I feel like it could be a temptation to let my value as an individual be correlated to the happiness of my marriage or the happiness of my children. If I feel like I have to sacrifice who I am as an individual, and a sacrifice I think will be is necessary in fatherhood or for marriages. But I feel like sacrificing the things that make my character, that had me to have a marriage or led me to want to be a father, so that my family could be happy, would lead to me losing who I am as an individual, losing self, and I think of more of finding a balance of, these are the experiences, these are the morals that built me here, and obviously morals or thought processes can change, but I want to be still who I am, Christian Perez.
You see, and here's the thing is that your thought process will change. You will sacrifice. And yes, you want your spouse, your marriage, and your family to be happy. You want that happiness, but not at the cost of losing yourself.
Exactly, that's completely. What I mean.
Now, we do lose ourselves in the service of others, but doesn't mean you lose who you are.
Yeah, like if I'm say I have usually a moment of freedom when I have my family, and I could either
freedom. What do you mean freedom?
Not freedom, but alone time,
Yeah.
And I sacrifice that alone time.
You should.
Not in the sense of I need to be focusing on who I am, as I don't know how to explain.
You're also not gonna say, I gotta find myself now. I've lost myself and now I have to go find myself.
No, I don't ever want that. I don't ever want that.
But you do still have to continue to realize that there's self-care, and you do need time to meditate.
Solitude. You need time of solitude,
Yeah.
and not in the sense of honey, I need to be alone for the weekend.
No.
But more of finding moments.
We're not doing hall passes here.
Yeah, finding moments to be me, in the sense that I could either be just reading a book by myself.
And trust has a lot to do with it, because if your spouse trusts you completely and is confident in your relationship and understands that you're trying to be better, she'll understand. She'll say, yeah, go ahead and...
Yeah, I guess so to answer your question then, simply, to be one with self and to be none with else is to not lose myself in the sense of...
your identity.
Losing my identity, so I can just be Christian the father, Christian the husband, and not just Christian Perez. That encapsulates everything.
Yeah, but you lose your.
I lose my ego.
You lose your ego. You lose your selfishness. You lose yourself in caring and loving your family and others, but you lose a selfish part of yourself.
I agree, and I know we got to wrap up here.
I'll be back.
Wait, well, actually, is this wrap it up? Wait, I just want to talk about one more thing.
Okay.
Before we go, you're a bit too far from the mic, though.
Okay, go.
That last thing.
How are we going to do this? So I wrote.
That last thing.
I wrote some points on how do we do this. So for me, is spend quiet hours away from friends and screens, to reflect, to meditate and reflect, to improve, to be honest with yourself. Let go. Stop needing the praise or agreement from others. We're not going to make people happy. We're not here to make people happy. We're here to help other people. We're here to serve others. Help them find joy. We're here to help people find joy. There are a lot of people out there who are lonely, who don't know where to find happiness, and we're here to. If I feel I have found something, a gold nugget, share it. But if they don't want it, they don't want it. You're not there to get them to agree with you or to be happy.
To obligate someone.
Yeah. Deep focus. Look inside your own heart instead of watching the crowd. Find your true self. If that takes relying on a divine, a greater, a God, a heavenly Father, then so be it. But there's so many other ways to do it. You can grow by reading, asking somebody that you see has a trait that you want to emulate. Listen and be willing to change. Be humble. Research. Be open-minded. And not just one day. Make it a part of your life. You want to grow every day. Be eager to progress towards your goals, whatever they might be. Be eager. Even if it's a little bit at a time, and be constant, consistent. And even if you a little bit a day, That's okay. It's just a sustained effort over your lifetime, and we will all be better. That's how we do it, a little bit at a time, step by step. And this applies not just to the spiritual, but also to the academic, the intellectual, and the emotional as well.
Nice. And then for me, I think, from my perspective, because you've already lived a little bit longer
I'm not
than
dying,
me.
sir.
You're not dying. You've lived.
I haven't one foot in the grave yet.
You've been longer than me.
I've been around for a while, though.
I think then relating to how I viewed to be one with self, and I think we found, like, I guess not a middle ground, but
common ground.
Common ground. We found common ground when we thought about this topic. For me, is like I mentioned earlier, beginning is to not get caught up in being isolated and cutting out those relationships,
or use it as an excuse.
Using it as an excuse to be, I need to be by myself so I can find who I am. That's not true at all. Like you mentioned, I think you taught me something today when I thought about when you taught me something today when it came to you telling me. Sorry, let me run that back. You taught me something today when you brought up that you don't need to look for the benefit of every relationship because relationships come and go. Yeah. The most important thing is what it taught you, and it's okay to put your heart out there to be hurt, but it's better to have loved than to not loved at all. And second, I feel like that can help benefit whoever's listening.
To have loved and lost.
To have loved and lost.
And all that all. You'll always gain something.
To benefit our listeners, whoever's here.
One person,
to my grandma. To my grandma.
Or your mom.
To benefit the one listener here, or anyone else that's listening, to not be so caught up in the external accomplishments or even critiques, like my dad was saying, to not be caught up in people's judgments against your decisions that you make. If you, like my dad mentioned earlier, and I totally agree with, if you are with good intention, you're doing the best that you can, and you know that it's going to be best for you, and it's going to help you accept who you are as an individual, rather than to put a mask and cover up those insecurities, those faults that you believe that you have or that you do have.
And people want to point them out.
And people want to, but if you're doing it in the sense that's not masking and accepting who you are, to be one with self is to be willing to stand with a group, but also be willing to stand alone
when you need to.
And when you need to.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just my input of like how we can do that is just to find self-acceptance and self-love, but not get also.
I'm not going to change. It's just the way I am.
No, not to conform, but also not get confused with ego. Not allow praise to distract you from accepting who you are,
or let criticism
put you down.
We're all blemished.
We're
all blemished. We all make mistakes, and if you're honest and recognize your own, when somebody brings it out, you say, "Well, yeah, but I'm trying to be better."
Yeah.
Because we are, and if you truly are, then it won't matter what they say. You're good.
How'd you think about today's first episode? Pretty good.
Good. I feel good about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna just end off with an outro. Like I mentioned in my introduction, I want to leave off with a quote. I did see The Odyssey by Christopher Nolan. 10 out of 10 movie. I recommend my dad go watch it. He'd love the movie. The Odyssey.
Oh, yeah, I'll watch it.
There was a quote in there from Matt Damon. Like I said, I'm not good with quotes, but I will paraphrase. Everyone should know the Odyssey, the book.
We were required to.
Everyone should. But if you don't know it, I won't spoil it. But there's a quote in there from Odysseus. I won't give the context, but he does say the line of that sometimes you need to be at the bottom to look what's going on top. So pretty much to me is like,
that's true.
Because Matt Damon, he plays Odysseus. He's a king. And so I'll let you take it how it is for the context.
That's a good quote.
But sometimes you do have to step down and be a beggar per se, to be a lowly person, quote unquote, just to see what's going on around you. Because
when you're at the top, you don't like looking down.
Exactly. But sometimes you have to put yourself down, humble yourself.
See what's going on.
So that's one of my quotes I'm going to take on for the week before we get to our next episode. Okay. Anything for you to add?
No, that's it.
We appreciate you guys being here. Hang in there. Have a great week. And we'll get to you guys in this next episode.